How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk. We basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I almost wanted to say the intro for geeking out, but this is not geeking out. This is Cosplay Con Talk. I am once again. You may have seen them from the episode where we covered everyone's cosplays for 2022. I am joined here by Red Leaf Cosplay. How are we doing, Kate?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've heard lots of other episodes from fellow cosplayers, and I'm happy you asked me to be here.
Well, again, thank you for coming on for the get to know that cosplayer segment for Cosplay Con Talk. Basically, we'll be talking about your cosplay and convention experience from your very first con to your first cosplay to the cons you've gone to the cosplays you've done, and also sharing some advice and experiences along the way. So, to begin, how long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you into cosplay?
So I have been cosplaying for the long, strong 18 years. I started cosplaying back in 2005. So yes, this is my 18th year of cosplaying. And I originally got into it kind of by accident. I was supposed to be with a group of people that had all planned to do cosplays back in 2005 for SakuraCon, and nobody else showed up but me. And that is kind of what got it all started. One year after another, and then it really exploded back in 2014. But I'm sure that we'll have a chance to get to that
Oh yeah.
later.
By the way, real quick, I dig the Pokemon Gym bed shirt.
Oh, thank you so much. I actually got this at one of the Pokemon stores when I visited Japan just a few years ago.
Lucky.
I am really lucky. I got to go in the spring of 2019, and it was probably one of the last great years for tourism before the pandemic hit. I know they're still in a period of flux trying to bring tourism back into the country. And of course, the pandemic is still current and in existence, but
Oh
it
yeah.
is, yeah, it was a trip that I will absolutely never forget. And I really hope I get to go back
Nice.
soon.
So you said you started back in 2005. This is like way before cosplay was becoming mainstream because cosplay didn't become super mainstream in the States until people like Jessica Nigri, Kamuya Cosplay, and then were like, once they got big, that's when like, oh hey, this is the thing.
Yeah, I was really kind of breaking into the scene back then. It was like one cosplay a year. I was only going to one event a year, and that was SakuraCon, Seattle's anime convention, which of course I will be going to again later this year. But that's all how it kind of started, was just doing one cosplay a year. And like Instagram wasn't a thing, TikTok wasn't a thing. We were all still kind of hodgepodging our cosplays out of cardboard. There were not a lot of mainstream materials available, but if you found something you loved and you really wanted to make it, you figured out one way or another to bring it all together.
Oh yeah, I mean, people were using gym mats, yoga mats for their armor. EVA foam was the thing, but it wasn't, people couldn't buy it, Mod Podge, all that stuff that everyone can afford. Nowadays,
Absolutely. Yeah, wigs were terrible
you
back
just had to
then.
rub two, you had to rub two sticks together and call it good.
Pretty much, yeah, there was no TNT or SKS for getting your foam. I don't think Warbler even existed back
Mm-mm.
then.
If it did, it was probably expensive, and I also know, like you said, if you wanted to get a costume, you had to go on to, like a legit character, you had to go on to a website that was in Japanese and pray that
Yes.
when you got it, it would fit.
Yeah, there was not mass amounts of retailers available like there was today. I mean, YouTube probably wasn't even a thing back then. There was no
Well,
way to
it
learn
it
how to
it,
do anything.
it was, but no one was doing cosplay tutorials back then. Not
Not
like
like what
not
they're doing today.
no no no. Every one of their mother-in-laws now doing as I say.
Yeah, but thank God for those people. They've made cosplay more accessible.
Oh yeah. So SoccerCon back in 2005, 18 years ago,
Yeah.
almost 20 years ago. What was SoccerCon like back then? Because I've heard a few things here and there, but I want to hear what your experience was like for SoccerCon back then.
So back then, I was just attending. I wasn't running any content. I wasn't competing. I wasn't doing really anything with my schedule. I was just going as an attendee. And this is, I think, the last year before they moved into what is now known as the Washington Convention Center, not to be confused with the Seattle Convention Center that is opening later this year.
Oh,
But
I've heard about that.
yeah,
I think you're the one who mentioned it in the 2020 cosplay recap podcast.
yeah, I'm actually really excited. I've been seeing some photos for what the expansion looks like. But
If it wasn't so
yeah,
expensive to get to, I'd still go.
yeah, this was the last year that before they moved into that larger space, and it was stretched between three buildings. I think it was like in I can't even tell you where it was at, but yeah, stretched between three buildings. The first time I ever went to SakuraCon, I went with a couple of friends, and again, everybody was supposed to cosplay from Full Metal Alchemist because that was like the rager anime that year to
Ye-
cosplay from.
Well, yeah, and that's actually a year it came out to the States too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so all of my friends were like, we're going to be this, and we're all going to be state alchemists. And then secretly I was like, well, I don't know how you're going to pull that off. Like, aren't those really highly detailed outfits to wear? And I was like, I really want to join. Like, what can I do? And they're like, you can be Winry. And I'm like, okay.
And she's pretty simple. Red bandana, black tank top,
Yep.
blue. Oh, well, actually, it's
They were like purplish, I think, at that point.
it was a purple jumpsuit that she would she would like only wear to like the pants and sandals and a giant
Yep.
wrench. She
Yep.
was
Yep.
simple and a blonde hair.
Yeah, I was really fortunate at the time. I still had like my natural hair color, so I was blonde. I did have a red bandana. I got a tube top from Hot Topic and changed it to be the right
And when there was still a
size.
gothic store.
Heck yeah, that's back when Hot Topic had good stuff.
Oh, I mean, they still have good stuff. I
I
mean,
mean, depending, like back then it was different,
it
but
was your
the thing we couldn't find was the coveralls that are like rolled down and
the
tied around her waist.
the jumpsuit she wears.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I did is I got a white one that was close-ish to my size, and then I dyed it in my washing machine for just a little bit so that it got to be kind of like that lavender color. So, and then I made my sandals. I made them
For
out of
anyone,
like,
give me for anyone wondering, give a
yeah, old school Winry.
this is I'm gonna show a better picture, but
Yep,
that's
that's exactly what I did. Exactly like that.
yeah. There, I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice, but yeah, purplish. Yeah, I think it's a jumpsuit that she's wearing.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I threw it all together and that is pretty much what I wore that whole first weekend. I remember I ended up buying from the dealer's hall like a playing card set of Full Metal Alchemist playing cards. That was probably the least amount of money.
I remember those. I used to have a Zatch Bell set when I was younger.
Yeah, that was probably the least amount of money I ever spent in a dealer's hall. And then moving forward, obviously spending more and more and more. But yeah, that was a weird year. And that was the first time I ever cosplayed, but not my first convention.
Oh, so what was your first official convention aside from SoccerCon?
That would have been in the summer of 2014. I had the rare and beautiful opportunity to go to the very first Penny Arcade Expo that ever happened. And it was just, it was lawless and ruthless and not planned very well, and 24 hours a day with people sleeping in the hallways and underneath their computers in the bring your own box room. And it was a big old hot mess, but it was, I think they expected
Uh,
300 people to show up and they got like 2,000.
well, let's see. Penny Arcade. You play arcade games for wait, like you put pennies to play the arcade?
Well, Penny Arcade, based on the original webcomic by Gabe and Tycho, which
Uh,
is now the Penny Arcade Expo that I think they have international events that happen. Like the one that happens in Seattle is PAX Prime. I think at one point they had a PAX East, PAX Australia. Like it grew to be this
oh,
major video game event.
nice. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
when you have a bunch of people who are into video games, don't like, oh yeah, 300. Look over. Oh, and like I mentioned before, you are allowed to use one F word. You are allowed one F word, so use it wisely. But
I will.
you are allowed to use the standard PG-13 curse words like ass, the B word, the S word.
Oh, cool. Thanks for the disclaimer. I'll keep that in
Well,
mind. I'm sure they'll come up later.
like I said, this is a PG-13 podcast.
Okay.
Like I said, and just like your standard PG-13 movie, one F word is allowed. Any other F words will be bleeped out.
I'll use my F-bomb wisely, I promise.
Yeah. Um. So, so you started back in 2005. I take it you had like a period where you didn't start doing that until 2014 again.
So between 2005 and 2014, I almost exclusively went to SakuraCon every year. Back
Oh, so
then,
11 years. So
there
basically
weren't
11
as many conventions.
Oh no. No, 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 no. So you were going basically to the same con for almost basically 11 years.
Yeah, I was pretty much going to SakuraCon every year. I think conventions started to get more widely accessible. There got to be more events every year, but I was almost exclusively just doing one cosplay a year just for SakuraCon.
I remember hearing about SakuraCon back in 2009.
Hmm.
That's how I first heard about conventions was SakuraCon. So that must have been like the main one everyone was going to at the
Yeah.
time.
And I have mostly lived in Oregon my whole life. So the fact that, and I did go to KomoriCon a little bit, and then they jumped over the river to Vancouver. And I think that's when I stopped going until
And
they
now
came back to
to
Portland.
Portland.
Yeah, yeah. But mostly it was just going to SakuraCon every year. And I have gone every year, minus the two that they were shut down for the pandemic. But
Boo, COVID.
boo, panini, evil. But every year for the last 18 years, I have never missed a sock.
Nice.
That is,
Hey, that's dedication.
I love
I
SakuraCon.
would call that your comfort con. It's a con you always enjoy going to no matter what.
Absolutely. It is
Nice.
home. I look forward to it every year. And as we've moved forward, at least in the last like 3 or 4 years, even with the pandemic, it has only gotten better with age.
I've heard some pretty good things about soccer con, especially back in 14 years ago when I first heard about conventions that Sakura Con was the place to go.
it is just such a rad time. The events are so good. The fact that it's 24 hours a day, there's always something
Oh,
to
it's a
do.
24/7 con, so it's like Dragon Con.
Totes. Yeah, absolutely. Like it starts
Wow.
at 8 a.m. on Friday officially, and it does not end until 4 on Sunday. There is manga to read, anime to
Oh,
watch.
I'm gonna definitely have to save up some money for that then.
Oh, please come. It'll change your life, I swear. It's such a good time.
It's been almost like I said that Sakura Con when I first heard about it 14 years ago. God damn, for that long now since I know about conventions. Fuck. Okay, there's my one F word. Yeah, no, that's anyway, moving on. So a question I've been recently asking, I've been making a two-parter. So when it comes to someone's first convention, whether they're just going as an attendee or a cosplayer, what advice would you want to give? And they're two separate questions. So advice for attendees and advice for cosplayers going to their first convention, whether it's a
Yeah,
big one or small one.
yeah. My first piece of advice would be with as much as you want to do, as much as you want to see, plan for downtime. Make sure that you're doing your self-care. You're taking time to go outside, to sit down, actually sit down, hydrate, make sure you're eating appropriately.
Energy drinks don't count as food source.
Yeah, I have had way too many events where I have ran on energy drinks, ramune, pocky alone, no water, like,
Just
and
straight up freaking sugar.
I know, right? And I'm 36 now, so I can't afford to just run on sugar. Like you have to hydrate, you have to
You
eat real
you
food.
weeb.
I know. So that would be like my biggest piece of advice is that even if you want to go to a panel, there's people you want to see, you can't miss this main event. You have to plan for downtime. And if you get tired, you can't power through it with energy drinks. You just take a nap. You'll thank
Go to your
yourself later.
hotel, sleep.
Absolutely.
You're not missing you won't be missing much if you're going for all the days, depending on the type of con.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And in the middle point of the day, like before the evening activities really get started, like even just grabbing that 30 to 45-minute nap will really be a game changer for the rest of the day. Like so
Oh,
plan for downtime. Even though you've got so many things you want to go to do, you'll be just racked with exhaustion from all the stimulation. Just walking around and looking at things will tax you more than you ever could have thought that it would. So plan for downtime is one of my big pieces of advice.
And what about for cosplayers? Because I know, depending on the convention, I'm sure you would agree that plan your cosplay ahead for the con, whether it's, depending on the climate and where you're going.
Hmm. Yeah, my biggest piece of advice would be before you actually get to your destination, before you actually plan to wear your cosplay in an event space, because that can mean a lot of things. That can mean photo shoots, that can mean running content, participating in contests, prejudging. Before you do all of that, do a test drive in your entire cosplay, like from head to toe, wig, accessories, shoes, undergarments, like I like to live a full day in my entire cosplay in my own house just to know what it feels like to sit, stand, breathe, eat, drink, inside, outside. Like I like to know what that feels like because if you get into a convention space, sometimes thousands of miles away from home, you'll realize, wow, I really should have thought this through a little bit more that when I'm dressed like this, I can't go to the bathroom. I didn't plan for this. So
Oh no,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
Like,
don't know how cosplayers do in those crazy cosplays. Like, if you're able to hold your bladder for that long, kudos to you because oh
yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that you can do is completely test drive your entire cosplay from head to toe, from wig to shoes, know what it feels like to run a whole day. And even in your own home, it won't be a normal day because you'll be running from one point to another. You'll probably, hopefully, be hydrating and you'll have to know what your bathroom schedule looks like and plan around it. So just knowing what it actually feels like in the most normal aspect that you can of wearing a cosplay because when you get to con obviously it's not normal
no
so
no, depending on the con, those bathroom lines can be really long.
yeah, for sure. That's another good thing about cons is like no on day zero, if you get to go on a Thursday or on a Friday morning, figure out where your favorite bathrooms are. Like find the isolated, quiet bathrooms like off the main path and the ones with lots of extra stalls and no lines and be like, dude, I could do a quick change in here and not bother anybody. Because obviously we want to leave the accessible stalls
Oh yeah.
accessible for the people that need them. But if it's kind of an off the radar bathroom, you might be able to get away with it. Unless your convention has cosplay changing
Oh
stations.
yeah,
If so,
which which
yeah,
which are which are good things to have. Next
yeah,
question
go
is
for it.
what are your thoughts, as I call it, what are your thoughts on bringing a convention exit buddy? Someone to bring with you, whether it's for a handler for a big build cosplay or someone you need to bring just so you're not alone, and especially if anxiety and all that stuff kicks in.
I think it's fantastic, especially for as long as that I've been cosplaying, from just day-to-day cosplays, like really basic ones, group cosplays, running content, to having somebody there for you on game day, quote unquote, like for competing at major cosplay contests. I have been both the handler and the handled. I am really lucky that even at this point in my life, I have a parent. My mother is extremely passionate about what I do and she will try to make it to whatever event she can. She has a little apron that she wears that says Red Leaf Cosplay on it, and
That.
she'll like hand out my contact cards, and I'm like, Mom, calm down. Those are really expensive. Don't give them to everybody. But
Ugh.
she's just brimming with support and wants to be there for me and will hold things for me. And she'll even like push people away when it's like she has a panel she needs to get to, and I'm like, Mom, shut up. Like she's always the person cheering the most out from the crowd. I can hear her on stage. She'll
She,
make
she
me
she's
break.
she, she's your con mom
She
basically.
is my con mom. My con mom is my actual con mom. But I have also been the handler. I've had friends that are like, I'm competing at this event, maybe one where I'm not competing, and I'll show up, I'll hold your bag, I'll check everything on your cosplay, make sure things are laying flat. So handlers can be extremely valuable, even if it's not like during the course of a major event, even if you're just there for them to pump them up right before they go in for prejudging, make sure that everything looks beautiful, just tell them that they look beautiful. Holding their things, making sure they can get in and out of the bathroom. I think it's a really powerful thing to be able to be there for people.
Oh no, I wholeheartedly agree on that. And one thing I always forget, I sometimes always forget to ask. I'm sure you'll agree. If you're going to a con, whether you've been going to them for years or you're just starting out, have a set budget for
Absolutely.
food. Because let's face it, if I think anyone can agree here, food being sold at the con itself is not cheap.
And it's probably like not super good for you either. Depending on what you're wearing, it'll really slow you down, weigh you down. It's probably really like carb heavy, but yeah, have a budget for food and also budget your time and your energy. Those are also good things to budget when going to a con.
Oh no, wholeheartedly. So out of all the cons you've been to, aside from Soccer Con, what has been your second favorite con to go to?
So, geez, second favorite, I'm gonna be kind of like a Pacific Northwest loyalist because I don't have to travel super far to go to these events. But I've also really enjoyed Rose City Comic Con, which takes place at the Oregon Convention Center just here in Portland.
I think that's on my con list for next year.
Dude, you need to go to some of these things. Please come,
I
come
plan on
hang
going.
out.
I plan on going to KomoriCon in November this year.
Yeah, and you should also try to go to Rose City if you want. I'll see if I can
Uh,
get you a badge if you want to go, because Lord knows I've got comp badges, but
oh,
but
I got my fair share of media pass badges.
dude, you need to come then. But yes, Rose City is a great one, mostly because the Oregon Convention Center is a really great space in terms of layout. There's a good stretch of space between the main convention spaces, between like main events, and then Artist Alley and the exhibitors hall. There's a good walking access for food and beverages.
I've heard multiple
Yeah,
times about. That's probably any time I've interviewed someone from the Pacific Northwest, they mention like the convention center itself is like the best thing.
yeah, it's and it's also located next to a lot of mass transit, so you do not have to feel pressured to get a hotel. Even on that side of the river, you can stay downtown, you can stay further out east or north and still be able to get to the convention center. I live much further north of the convention center, but I can still get there. Even in complete cosplay, I can get to the convention center pretty easily. And they actually just opened the Hyatt Regency just across the street, which I know that they've been utilizing for event space as well. So there is now a convention center dedicated hotel right across the street. Literally,
Ooh,
it doesn't take much to get there, and
nice.
they've also got really good amenities too in terms of food and drink. So I
I'll keep that in mind.
yeah, I've only really done like content and contest with Rose City for 1 year, and that was this last year. And the even though the weather was terrible because it was yeah,
I heard Rose City. Um, yeah, it was the weather was shit from what I heard.
yeah, it was pretty shit. Yeah, because it was hot and we had an air quality warning. And
Oh,
like if you looked at the map on a weather app, it was all red. It was Mordor. It was practically Mordor.
yeah,
Like,
the only thing missing was just, a giant tower with a red eye.
yeah, I mean it was all red. It was
Oh, I know. I
Mordor.
no, I am fully familiar with how, fire season here is in Oregon.
Yeah, it's very and unfortunately if you live in the valley you're going to get the brunt of it. You're going to get that like kind of Oregon version of Huang Sa, like the wind and the smoke all gathering and settling in the valley, and it's going to be gross, but if you love cosplay and
Uh,
conventions you're going to go.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Since this podcast won't be out until July, what cons will you have gone to this year, and what cons do you plan on going to, this year?
Okay, so seeing as it how it's now late January, my next convention will be Fan Expo Portland, which is
Formerly Wizard World.
formerly Wizard World, yes, and that will be happening here in just a couple weeks. So I'm gonna kind of go do a test drive of that just to see what it's about, and I do plan to compete, so we'll see what that
Nice.
looks like. I'm kind of being a guinea pig for all of my friends just to see how it feels, like what the contest process is like, working with the judges, what all that looks like. And then that following weekend, actually, I will be at Chibi Chibi Con in Everett.
I saw Chibi Chibi's con post that you're going to be a judge for that one.
I am going to be a judge. Yeah. Last year I got to go and compete there. I kind of did it on a whim, but I won Best Masters. So this year they're inviting me back as a judge. And the campus at that particular school, I think it's the Evergreen State College. It's so beautiful. And it's such a charming little one-day event, and it's a lot of space for local artists to sell their wares. And it's a wonderful little event. I'm so excited to get to go back this year and to judge the
Nice.
cosplay contest. So, so yeah, that is after Fan Expo, and then March is kind of a just crafting space for me. I won't be attending Emerald City Comic Con, but I have friends that are going to be competing there, so I'll be cheering for them from afar. And then the first full weekend in April will be SakuraCon, and that will just be insane for
Ooh.
me.
I'll,
Like it always is, and like
I'll,
it
I'll,
always is.
I'll bet.
Yeah. Hopefully, signups for the cosplay contest open tomorrow at noon. So I will be on my
Gotta get on
computer.
that.
Yep, hitting the refresh button, trying to get in right away. And then the project after that, I'm working on with my brand new cosplay partner, Stumikins, who is actually an incredibly seasoned and talented cosplayer. She has represented the United States at multiple international
Shout
competitions.
out to Sumikins.
Shout out to Sumikins. She and I are going to be collaborating on a Sword Art Online project
Ooh, which
for it's for Crunchyroll Expo. We're hoping to submit a
ah,
project.
that's another con on my list.
Yeah, we're actually going to be just doing the online contest, submitting a video. She's going to be Kirito, and I'm going to be Sinon, and we're doing the Gun Gale Online kind of line of Sword Art Online. So we're both really pumped for that. And then, I kind of take some of my summer months off to try and decide what my next big competition piece is going to be, which right now is kind of up in the air, depending on if I want to do something in another state, if I want to do something League of Legends. And really, right now, it's just kind of focusing on what the next 6 months are going to look like for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that brings me to my next question. So, have you traveled out of state for cons?
Mm, absolutely. So, in the Pacific Northwest, there's only so much you can do in Oregon. So, I go to Washington all the time for events, but that's obviously not that far. But back in 2014, actually 2013, I moved to New York for a spell. I followed somebody out there. And so I had access to a bunch of events in the Northeast United States. I was going to Anime Next in Boston. I went to KatsuCon one year. I was kind of going all over the place just because I think when you live in New York City, you really need to travel
Oh,
outside of the city.
not to mention you got New York Comic Con, which is their main con there.
Yeah, and that's actually the first convention I ever competed at.
We'll get into your cosplay for that one.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to the question. Advice for those who want to travel out of state for a con.
So, depending on how you're traveling, I do not drive. So, a lot of my traveling is actually done via train or flying. So, usually, you're going to need to check baggage for those things. So, it is important to plan accordingly, make sure what you're taking is going to fit into your suitcase. If you do my style, 6 weeks before a convention, I'll bring up my suitcase. It lives in my craft space, and I will just start throwing things in there. It's like, that's gonna go, that's gonna go. And that is how I learn how I need to pack my bag. And if you're taking really large props, that is how you realize, okay, I only have so much space diagonally to put things into
Ugh.
suitcases. So you have to know how to break them down. And we're so lucky these days. There are people that have traveled far and wide for lots of conventions all over the world. So there are really, really great guides out there for how to make a, 6 foot prop break down
Oh
into
yeah.
like 16-inch segments so that everything will fit into your
I've seen a
suitcase.
lot. I've seen a lot of how-to tutorials. Recently, I saw on TikTok Jessica Nigri. She had this sword prop and she had it held together by like a bottle, like a twisted bottle cap
Well,
thing.
yeah, and I didn't even think of that before. Usually it's a lot of like PVC pipe
Magnets.
segments, magnets, things like that. But yeah, there are ways to, and so long as you're building something to fit in to whatever you're going to travel with. I mean, and
Hmm.
that also comes with planning. Like if you're like, okay, in 4 months I'm going to this event, look at what you're going to be traveling with suitcase wise and know that it eventually has to fit into that. Unless you're awkwardly carrying something
I mean,
on.
I've seen those big ass industrial suitcases that you can like fit like a body in, basically.
Yeah, and there are some people, and there's some, like, depending on what you're traveling for, like if you're traveling for a juried convention where they're going to pay for you to go and compete, they don't care what size your luggage is. But if you are going with an intent to compete and all you've got is your traditional suitcase, you got to make it fit in there and you got to make it do so safely.
Oh yeah, no. So next thing we're going to be talking about the cosplays you've done and cosplays you're working on, which I can see in the background on the door is Klee outfits from Genshin Impact.
Yes. So I don't do this very often, but there's going to be some people also at Chibi Chibi Con that are going to be doing some Genshin Impact cosplays. And I've already got my crafted cosplays planned for the year, especially for competition pieces. And they were like, this person's doing this and this person's doing this. We would really, really love if you could do a Genshin Impact cosplay. And personally, I have been playing Genshin Impact for 3 hours.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, I literally just downloaded it today onto my laptop and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a whirl. We'll find out. And I have some people that I was like, I can do Genshin Impact, but I don't know what I do. I have no idea. And they're like, you'd make a great Klee. And I had like 8 people be like, you should be Klee. And I'm like, I don't even know
Look her
who
up.
this is.
Tiny little elf girl who like who's just has like a giant bomb. I've seen videos on
And
YouTube.
yeah, like lucky me, I have this backpack. I
Oh,
have a Klee backpack.
oh my God. And I love the little what's the little furry thing?
Yet because I don't play Genshin Impact.
Dude, I just love that
I'm gonna
backpack.
find out.
It's so tiny. Plus, you can actually, is that backpack like, is that an actual backpack you can like put stuff in?
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, yeah,
Put
yeah.
your snack,
So
put your snacks in there and everything.
absolutely, and I am all about upcycling, buying secondhand. And with Lunar New Year happening between January and February, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to buy something brand new. So I found something, I bought something secondhand. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of upcycling and altering and adding trims and
Nice.
augmenting pre-existing cosplays. So
So you're one who would agree that if a cosplayer's on a budget, you would recommend upcycling secondhand thrift store if they're on a budget.
absolutely. There are so many really good resources out there for buying things, and that is how I actually get a lot of the fabrics that I work with today. I will go and look at a Salvation Army or a Goodwill, or really anybody that's selling things secondhand. Depop, eBay. I will look everywhere to try and find something that I can augment or change. I've harvested fabrics from jackets and skirts, and there is a way to do it. And I've had a lot of really great success in it. And even if I buy a cosplay that was like pre-made, like from AliExpress or really any vendor from overseas, I've had a lot of really good success with like adding embellishments or enhancing the details that are already on it. Even just ironing or steaming a cosplay like that can make it look like extra sharp and like just cleaner. So even though I did not personally make this cosplay, it's gonna look like anything you've ever seen before because I'm gonna get a chance to really put a lot of crazy good things on it.
Nice. That I'm looking forward to seeing Clea. I've seen a lot of her, and I actually saw your Instagram that the blue dress in the back is for a witch Ariel.
Yes, yes. I am doing Maho Shoujo, who's a fan art designer. I am doing her first version of Witch Ariel because she went through and she did all the Disney princesses as witches.
Ooh.
And I have never done any Disney-based cosplays before, and I know Disney princesses are super hot to do. And the Witch Ariel design just really took me over. And what really, really one-upped on it is I thought of a skit to do based off of the part of your world song from the original Little Mermaid. So that went with the original design, and so that is what I am working on currently for SakuraCon.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is when is SakuraCon, by the way?
SakuraCon traditionally, and as it is this year, is the first weekend in April, and it
Oh, so
always
by the time this is out, you'll have the I can show a photo of the Witch Ariel cosplay.
absolutely. And the event will have already happened, and hopefully, as of tomorrow, I will get into the cosplay contest and we will find out how I do. I have really, really high hopes for this, mostly because this is a cosplay that is involving it's 100% handmade from the shoes to the hat, and I feel really good about this skit idea. It means a lot to me. It's actually based off of how I've always looked at people that I have admired doing like collaborative and group cosplays, and I have always wanted to like have a place and I have always cosplayed on my own. I've always been doing cosplay contest entries and skits on my own, and how I've always wanted to be a part of the people that I look up to. I've always wanted to be part of their group, and I'm always
Nice.
kind of an outsider. So I'm really, I don't even care if I win. This is a story I get to tell on stage, and I'm just brimming with excitement just to get
Nice. I'm
in.
look I'm
So
looking forward to seeing and hearing about it later down the road. Speaking of, you've done group cosplays before. Have you done I gotta ask, what was it like? 'Cause again, I looked on your Instagram. What was it like doing the Shy Gal cosplay group?
So that was an opportunity that I was invited into, and I was just flattered that the people asked me to come in. That was from the Sakura Rangers.
I'm familiar with two of their members, Cosplay Me and Mama Samu.
Yeah, and
Both have been a previous guest on this show.
yeah. And I actually got invited into their hotel block for SakuraCon a couple of years back. And this is the second group cosplay that they've asked me to do for day zero, which isn't even when the convention is running. The year before, we did a Legends of the Hidden Temple group, which was a
I've never seen anyone do that based off the show from the night. Oh God, my age is showing.
yeah, man, from like Nickelodeon. Like we all had
I'm 30, but freaking A, my age is showing now.
yeah, we had team shirts, we had helmets, we had like I actually even have it. We got like the golden
Oh
battalions.
God.
I use it as a coaster now, but
But was anyone cosplaying as those guys that would like try to capture you?
no.
Damn.
We were all teammates. We all got divided into pairs, and that was the first group we did. But this last year they invited me into doing like the shy guys and girls, and so we all picked our own colors. There was one key member, Cosplay Me did all of our and her partner X I can't remember exactly what his name is, but they did all of the masks and they printed everything off for us and they gave us all the accessories and all we had to do was bring
Oh,
our hoodies or
XZ card.
yes, and he and I have collaborated before in the past, mostly for my Ash cosplay, but they did everything for us. And so we had pairs, like we had a black pair, a yellow pair, purple pair, blue, red, like,
Nice.
yeah. And it was just something fun to do on day zero where we would all show up and we'd take pictures in the park. And just the fact that they have kind of like absorbed me into their group, they've absorbed me into their hotel block has given me a sense of belonging because there have been years that I've stayed with them and they have done these big just totally amazing skits for conventions and they have won, best comedy, best in show.
Oh,
And
I've heard stories from both Cosplay Me and Mama Selma about the competitions they've been in with groups.
yeah, they are stellar. They are incredible. And the fact that I haven't been able to like really contribute to what they've been doing because I've been doing my own thing for so long, but they've still accepted me and brought me into their fold and allowed me to stay with them just like that's already like the first stage of acceptance and I love those people. I'm staying with them again this next year, so
Nice.
I'm really excited to see what they do the halftime show at KomoriCon here in Portland.
I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to get that captured.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they did one based on Super Mario Brothers this last year at KomoriCon and it was just
I saw and it's like makes me excited to it makes me look forward to cosplaying as Luigi this year.
as you should. Oh, you should. You don't even know what's going to happen at Kumo this next year. Oh my
I
gosh.
well, I can't wait for Kumo 2023. So now onto the cosplays that you've done. What's been that one cosplay that, you haven't done in so long that you would like to bring back
Oh my gosh. That I haven't done. Oh
in so
man,
long?
my list is so long of the things that I have really, 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 really wanted to do. But so I have done, and I know I talked about this on the 2022 recap, but I have done two versions of Ash from Final Fantasy 12. And the first time I did it was in, I think, maybe 2007, 2008. And I did it
Oh,
be
so a few years after 12 came out.
yeah, yeah. And that's because somebody told me it couldn't be done.
Well, you're
And
like you want to prove them wrong.
I did. And it was just a big old hot mess.
Ooh.
Nothing fit. I didn't have the right materials. Things were falling off of my body.
Final Fantasy main character outfits are not easy. Look at
Yeah,
Lulu's from Final Fantasy X. Look at Waka. Look at Kimari Ronsos. Look at I got a list of Final Fantasy characters I know are not easy to do.
yeah. And nothing in 12 especially makes sense. Nothing how those people wear their outfits and run around in the desert makes
Fran,
sense.
Vaughn,
Fran, yeah, right?
Vanille, not
Like
Vanille,
I've
Pinello.
yeah, Pinello. Pinello's another one that I would really love to do,
But
but
hers looks more simpler because hers is more of a jumpsuit style.
it's like a little romper. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, especially Ashes. Ashes does not make sense. Gravity wise, armor wise, skirt wise, like none of it makes sense. But I went ahead and I remade it maybe just 3 to 4 years ago.
Again,
But
anyone who's wondering what Princess Ash looks like, she's basically
right there.
and I've said this many times, she's the Princess Leia of Final Fantasy 12.
She totes is. And really, about Final Fantasy 12, everybody thinks it's about Vaughn. And really,
No,
from
it's about Ash.
it's about Ash. Thank you. Thank you. It's about her reclaiming her throne.
And Captain Bosch von Runsenberg.
Captain Bosch von Rotzenberg.
I'm
Yes.
Captain Bosch. Sorry,
Yes.
it's one of my favorite levels in the game.
Yeah. And Balthier is Han Solo
Oh,
and Fran is
yes.
Chewbacca. Like that is really how it
Yeah,
is.
and Vaughn would be, I guess, Luke Skywalker.
I guess an anticlimactic, unachieving Luke
Crybaby.
Skywalker, a crybaby, like just kind of along for the ride, like
Pretty much.
really.
He's just an NPC. Well, we play him, but he's just an NPC.
He is, yeah. He's just kind of there, and it's like, now this is about Ash. Like this is about
Oh
her
yeah.
reclaiming her throne and
Oh
claiming
yeah.
her stake on
But
Dalmasca.
yeah,
And yeah, that is a cosplay that I have done now twice. But I would like, I feel like if I were to make it a third time, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it real good. I
looking forward to seeing it because I remember you were telling me about the mishap you had back in 2014 with it.
yeah, yeah. Falling in the rain on a staircase on my way to prejudging, and that kind of ruined
Now,
everything.
speaking of Ash, would her wedding dress be something you would ever consider doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And even her morning outfit
Oh, when
after
I can't remember her husband's name.
uh, uh oh, she has so many like flashbacks to him being alive and sees his ghost all the time. Yeah, it's escaping me right now. But yeah, her wedding outfit, her grieving outfit, and then just like her token gameplay outfit. Like mostly it's that one because I feel like as I've looked across other people that have done Ash cosplays,
Rossler was his name.
Rossler, yeah. And it's important to be an Ash cosplayer and remember that not only does she wear her own wedding ring on her left hand, she also wears his wedding ring on her hand. So she's always got two rings on because she wears it for both of them.
Oh, and if anyone's wondering what her wedding dress looks like from the game,
Yeah. Yeah. I would do that. I would totally
a
do that.
lot of goddamn gold.
See, that's a thing. Yeah. Lots of gold, lots of lace, probably chiffon, probably things in there that I've never worked with before.
Here's a better version of her
Oh,
dress.
someone even like cut it up into like paper doll pieces. Bless them.
Oh yeah, and her you were saying her
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I would do. And there's another piece of fan art that was actually done by a artist named
Oh
Viral
yeah,
V.
I saw you as your as one of your story posts, her warrior outfit.
Yeah, I call it the Queen Ash by the artist Viral Vhyrel. And it's just it's gorgeous. Like super fitted, gold worked corset, like long draping, kind of like either linen or chiffon looking garments, amazing shoulder pads, really cool sword. I would do that one in a heartbeat as well. So
Nice.
yeah, Ash isn't going anywhere. I'm probably going to do more of her in the future.
Looking forward to seeing that. Now, what's been that, as I call them, one and dones? Is the cosplay that you did because you're curious about it, you did it because someone asked you, or you did it just for the hell of it, but you just never done it since?
Oh, that would probably be Star Guardian Soraka, which I did because I thought it would be a good learning experience, and I thought it would really test my capabilities working with new materials or things that I'd already worked with, but seeing if I could manipulate them in a way that they would do what they want. But it was a cosplay that I actually did at the 2021 KomoriCon. I did a skit with her. It was hard because I was in horse hooves
Oh
because
yeah, that's the picture of your thumbnail.
yeah, it's on the thumbnail. Yeah. She is one of the least done Star Guardians just because she is, in terms of Star Guardians, she is the Star Guardian. Like she's God. So
She looks like a
she's
Sailor
like
Moon character. I'm sorry.
all of the Star Guardians look like Sailor Scouts. They all look like magical girls. And hers, just based on the design, the fact that
Oof.
she's got wings, the fact that she's got horse hooves, her prop, her wig,
Yeah.
all of it is impractical.
Good freaking yeah.
Yep, yep, exactly. Yeah. And also after I started working on her, because I started doing it during the tail end of like the 2021 portion of the pandemic. I started her like in late winter, early spring of 2021. And I didn't know where I was gonna eventually compete with her if I was. I had a good span of time to work on it, but while I was working on it, they released the prestige skin of Star Guardian Soraka. So then I felt like less than adequate because there was a prestige version of the
Womp womp.
same skin. Yeah, womp
Womp
womp.
womp.
But I liked the colors and I rolled with it. And
It's a beautifully well done cosplay from what I've seen and what you've
thank
like. It's
you.
just I can imagine. So I gotta ask, how long did it take to make her a prop to get it straight accurate? Because that looks like a bitch and a half.
Yeah, it definitely was because not only did I make her prop in the original style, like of the design, but something I had never seen in her prop before was that it would be fully illuminated.
Oh yeah, I saw. I remember the picture showing it was like LED. Like when I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
edit your thumbnail, like I want to make sure it showed the LED parts. Like,
Yeah. And not
ugh.
even just illuminated, but illuminated on both sides because it's a
Oh, of course,
two-sided prop. And
because of course it
not
is.
not only had I not worked with something like that before, this was also the first project that I had done anything with LEDs. And of course, not only did I want her prop to illuminate, I also wanted the 5 stars on her cosplay to illuminate. So I had one on each armband, one in the middle of my chest, and then one on the hip flats. So I had to make sure that I hid the wiring, I hid the batteries. They could be accessible if I
I mean, I'll be
needed
showing
to.
I should be showing a bigger picture,
Yeah,
but like,
God, I love this cosplay so much.
and I thought, okay, if you hadn't told me those were hooves, I just would have assumed those were boots.
That so what I did is I ended up with some heels and I cut off the actual heel portion of them. So I'm literally only walking on the toes and the balls of my feet, 2 inches up to make them
Oof.
look like hooves. And I did that all day for the pre-judging on the Friday before the contest. And then I got into cosplay maybe 3 to 4 hours before the contest on Saturday of KomoriCon. And somebody, Swallowtail Studios was the
Yeah,
one that caught that particular photo of me. And chef's kiss,
they did a good
bless
job.
him. he did such a good job. Like he caught everything that I wanted from that particular cosplay. So yeah, everything about it was awkward and uncomfortable. Really, only the hoof portion. And I'm happy to say that that cosplay has found a new home, and
Oh, so it's been sold
it
basically.
has been sold. Yeah, I actually have a Instagram follower that has, and I would be able to pull up her name at a later date, but she has taken it to so many events and she has loved
Glad
it
that she's made
just
you glad she's made use of it. And
so hard.
I'm sure she's also done touch-ups too with it.
She's done amazing from what she's done with it. Every photo I've seen with her, she's collaborated with other Star Guardian cosplayers, and just I'm
Nice.
so happy to see a cosplay that caused me so much pain find a second life with somebody that has just made them so happy, and she's taken so many pretty pictures, and it makes me really happy. So,
So nice. Now, I know I said this podcast is gonna be an hour, but with how much we're needing to discuss,
oh, I don't care.
it may go a little past that,
It's okay.
just like Mama Samu's, because
Oh, I believe it.
there was a if you've seen hers, there was a lot to talk about.
Oh, for sure. She's
Um,
been doing it longer than I have, so I'm sure she's got a lot to talk
oh yeah,
about.
no, hers went over like an hour actually, while we're still going on. So was that the biggest build you've ever done then?
So, probably not. If we're talking about like a span of time or amount of work that went into it, my other two big builds would be my Geodude design, which was done by the German artist Cowslip, and my Fallout cosplay that I actually just completed in this last year in 2022. Those are my other two big builds.
Wait, Geodude, the oh God, what does he look like
The
again?
Pokemon, yeah.
I know who Geodude is. I just can't remember what he looks like. It's
It
mind you,
the
mind you.
Cowslip's design in the Pokemon really, it's gray. Like that's the
Oh,
theme.
oh, okay. He's the floating. I know people are gonna get mad at me how I say it. But he's the floating rock with eyes and two arms.
Very much so. Yeah, that's how he looks. Yeah, in Pokemon. I'm very much a Gen 1er when it comes to
Yeah,
Pokemon. I
no,
can't help it.
I'm used to the original 150 as well.
Heck yeah, man.
Nice. So the next one, what has been your all-time favorite cosplay? Like, no matter what, you always enjoy cosplaying them.
So that will have to be Cardcaptor Sakura.
Oh,
Eh,
yeah, the one you were with the red hair.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Cardcaptor Sakura, I have done. She was my first anime. She was my first magical girl, even before anything Sailor Moon related.
Oh yeah, Card Captors has been out a little bit after Sailor Moon, but still roughly around the same time.
Around the same time, but in 2023, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Cardcaptor Sakura. So
Yeah,
it's a big time.
oh yeah, no, I think like you're probably the only I think the second or third person who's cosplayed that's talked about on the show that's done from Card Captor, I think.
And I have done three outfits from Cardcaptor Sakura, which really she changes her outfit every episode because her best friend Tomoyo makes a different battle costume for her every time she has to capture a card. So that's why she's a great character to cosplay, is because she's constantly
I
changing
may
her
have to probably
outfit.
start. Well, I may have to actually start watching that anime eventually.
There's only 70 episodes. You can do it.
It's on my list of animes that I haven't seen in years or seen slightly of.
Yeah, if you're not counting the new clear card arc that just came out like maybe 1 or 2 years ago, the original 70 episodes
It's
of
from 90
Cardcaptor
it came out
Sakura.
it's from 96 to 2000.
Yes, yes. So old.
Patience, Card Captor Sakura, the movie, Card Captor, the sealed card. Oh my goodness
Yep,
gracious.
she got movies too.
Because of course she does.
Of course. Why wouldn't? I mean, Sailor Moon's got movies. Why wouldn't Cardcaptor Sakura? But yeah, I've done three outfits from Cardcaptor Sakura for Sakura Con here in a couple of months. I'm actually getting ready to collaborate with Princess of Tea, who is another award-winning, much loved.
I have heard of them.
Yes, yes. She also loves magical girls. She and I are getting ready to.
I think Mama Sama mentioned her.
Uh, yeah, Mama Sam has actually collaborated with Princess of Tea a couple
Yeah,
of times. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. She has been name dropped on this channel before then.
Yeah, just to let you know. But yeah, she and I are getting ready to collaborate again. We're gonna do some cottage core cardcaptor Sakura designs by the artist Little Celise.
Ooh.
And I'm getting ready to do a big 25th anniversary Cardcaptor Sakura. We're doing a like a photo montage of as many battle outfits as we can put together. And then there is also going to be a TikTok compilation of a Pass the Cloud card, which I hope that I also get to participate in.
Ooh, I've seen people do that with like the makeup brush thing.
Yeah, but we're going to be passing the cloud card. We're going to be hoping to loop in as
Nice.
many different cosplayers as we can.
So, aside from Star Guardian Soraka's staff prop, what's been the biggest prop and your all-time favorite prop that you've made?
I want to show it. I'm gonna grab it. Hang on just a second.
Is that what I think it? Oh, is that?
Okay.
Is wait, what is that? What is that? Is that? Oh,
So
is
this is my shish kebab from Final Fantasy from Fallout.
ooh.
So I made this for the Fallout project that I have been working on for the last like 2 to 3 years. And this was something that I was like, I have to have this. I have to have the shish kebab.
Oh, that looks so cool.
Yeah. So the fun fact about this prop is that it is primarily made out of garbage. It is made out of
So
trash.
basically, like if you were to be in the Fallout universe.
Right? And that's something that I did with a lot of the items that I made from Fallout is I wanted them to be made out of things that I would typically throw away. And I save a lot of pieces of plastic, a lot of things that are like a very unique shape because I want them to eventually have a second life in a prop that I make. But so I tried to follow just the original art book art as much as I could. So
And it's called what again?
a shish kebab.
I'm looking that up right now.
It's basically a gas ignited flame sword. And honestly, in game,
Oh,
it's not that good. Exactly. That is one design of the shish kebab. In the art book, there are, I think, 4 or 5 different iterations. They've got different gas valves along the blade and different coordinations of the accessories that happen in and around the base, around the hilt.
oh,
Exactly like that. Yeah, just
yeah,
like that
that
one.
the one on the right looks like it's really, geez,
Yeah. And these are all
that's intimidating.
yeah. So that was basically what I wanted to go to is I wanted to try and fit as much detail in as I could because the original shish kebab only has the 2 gas valves along the base.
Hmm.
I wanted 4, so I added more.
When you were pulling that out, I thought that almost was Little Sister's Needle from BioShock.
No, she's actually on a mantle out in the living room, really high up, so that my cats can't get to her. But if I could, that would be another one that I would pull out because that's a prop that also means a lot to me. Little Sister means a lot to me. That was kind
Oh.
of like a groundbreaking cosplay for me. But yeah, shish kebab, totally made out of garbage. Lots of little fun, like fiddly bits, like my gas valve turns. You can ignite and disignite the
Oh, that
handle.
is cool.
My egg timer works. Like those were things that I wanted to really emphasize when I competed with Fallout. And it's funny because I wouldn't have even gotten a chance to talk about it because there is a magnet on the backside underneath one of my screw nuts so that when I wear it on my harness, I can literally like
Oh,
magnet it to my back.
kind of like Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy.
Exactly. And I was like running through everything from head to toe, and someone's like, "What's this on your back?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, let me whip that out." Like I just ripped it off my back. I was like, "Let me talk about this, and this really
Oh,
quick."
geez.
And
What's the blade made from?
it's all foam. It's all foam, and it's cored with a aluminum rod that I bought at Ace
Ooh,
Hardware just to give it a little bit of rigidity. But
nice.
other than that, everything's made out of Warbler foam, um, garbage. This was a plastic bottle that I cut down.
I can see the plastic bottle,
Yeah, yeah.
and I saw the little valve thing too.
Yeah, but most of it's Warbler foam and garbage,
That's
and
pretty cool.
but I love these. I love
Mm.
these prop. It's so good. But yes, yeah, that I was like, I can't do a Fallout cosplay without having just a really badass one-handed weapon. And I have lots of weapons for that cosplay. Like I have a 10 millimeter pistol. I have a throat slicer, like one-handed knife. But I was like, I need like my major combat weapon. And I was like, it's gotta be the shish kebab. It's gotta be.
Nice, very nice. Now, we've talked about the two projects you're working. Screw you, phone. So we talked about the two cosplays you're gonna be working on for this year. What's your, usually I would talk about future cosplays, but what is your one dream cosplay as a character you've always wanted to cosplay, but you've never had the chance nor time or, or stuff to do it?
So my ultimate super mega oversized, highly detailed dream cosplay is more or less an original design. And I know that I can't achieve it unless I learn a bunch of skills along the way to get me there. And with the announcement that BlizzCon is coming back, I now have the dream that maybe it's going to happen someday. But
Wisconsin Day.
BlizzCon someday. Yeah, I've gone for a couple of years. I've never competed. I used to be part of a little group, and I still am. And we were waiting for the event to come back called the BlizzCon Beer Swap, which is where people come from all over the country, all over the world to bring beer to drink and socialize and talk about Blizzard related media. But
Oh, that sounds fun.
it's so good. It makes me
For
happy.
someone who's played Overwatch and World of Warcraft, that just sounds like a good time.
We just talk about Blizzard stuff and we drink beer, like really,
Oh,
really good beer. It's amazing.
oh,
But
that sounds fun.
yeah, I know BlizzCon was on a hiatus for a while, but I really hope that maybe in another year or two I get to go back. But my ultimate super mega dream project is to be able to do the Lord of Sin from the Diablo universe, who's known as Osmodon. He is
Lord.
a big, fat demon with 6 legs protruding out of his sides. I played him a lot when I played Heroes of the Storm. He's just like my all-time
Okay,
favorite baddie.
I'm gonna have to bleep this one out, but that is a beefy mother.
He's a beefy mother. He's a beefy motherfucker. Yeah. So
How
my
I'm like, how?
so my dream with him is to make a character named Osmodame. Not Osmodon, but Osmodame, which would be the Lady of Sin. And I want to do a large, extravagant ball gown with enough detail that emphasizes his 6 legs and a really highly trained corset with LEDs up the side and a crown and a huge mantle off the back that does all of his shoulder detail. And that's really, really, really what I want to do someday is I want to do Osmodame.
You're gonna need like a group of people to help you with that because that just in itself is, oh good God.
I will need a handler. We will probably have to drive or I will have to ship things, but I really look forward to the point that I get to be on the BlizzCon stage and they say, and now presenting Osmodame, the Lady of
That's gonna
Sin.
be
And
pretty freaking cool though.
oh, I
Um,
don't have all the skills dialed in yet to pull her off,
hey,
but it's gonna happen.
with practice, that's so just like just like with Mama Samu, you competed. What was the very first cosplay you competed in? And then what has been your favorite and what has been your most recent one?
So the first time I ever competed was really, again, like when I first cosplayed, it was by accident. I went with a group of friends to New York Comic Con while I was living in New York, and I was wearing my little sister cosplay, which has kind of gone down to be one of those cosplays that I think a lot of people identify me with
I
because it
mean,
is
it's really well done from the makeup to her needle gun, which I can't remember what the actual name is.
An atom gun. Yes.
Adam Gunn, but it's really well done. And pros, I've always enjoyed saving the little sisters in the Bioshock series.
Yeah. I was looking for something not sexy, not really fitted. I was looking for something dark to do, and I am like a huge
What's more darker than a diesel punk goth game than Bioshock?
and a little girl that's been experimented on living in a city abandoned at the bottom of the sea, like
With glowing yellow eyes.
that has a huge nautical demon monster thing that looks after
Either
her.
called Big Daddy or Mr. Bubbles, depending on which version you're playing.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's
So
helping us. Sorry.
so we did a little sister cosplay, and the thing is that I was seeing from a lot of other little sister cosplayers at the time is that nobody was dirty. Nobody was
And they're dirty.
they are.
Sometimes they don't even wear shoes.
No, exactly. Yeah. And but unfortunately for convention environments, you do have
No.
to wear shoes sometimes. So I wanted to be dirty. I wanted to be creepy. And so I went with some friends to New York City Comic Con and at the Javits Center, and I was walking around with them. They were totally normally dressed. They'd point out some people and they'd be like, that guy, get that guy.
Oh yeah,
And I
and
would,
here's an
yeah,
example
that's
of
exactly what they look like. Oh, they're so creepy. And so they would be like, go after that guy. And so I would crouch down really, really low so that my size would be kind
ooh.
of more accurate to little sisters. And I would pick someone and
Here's the original concept.
oh, geez,
It basically
that's even creepier.
their gun was like a backpack thing.
Oh, but that's kind of like what the big daddies look like now, or actually big sisters if we're talking about
Oh yeah,
BioShock 2.
oh yeah. Freaking hate. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a pretty cool cosplay to see you
Big
do.
sisters too. Yeah. But they would be like follow somebody, and I would pick somebody and if I would follow them around the convention center and they would like look back and they'd be like, dude, is she still back there? Don't look at her. Don't look at her. Oh my God, she's still back there. And I would like leer around corners and hide behind things. And
They're harmless. They're only, the only time they're not harmless is when there's a splicer around.
until the daddies show up.
Oh,
But
until yeah.
but they were like, go for that guy. And this was right after I entered into the cosplay contest and I followed him. And then eventually he went over to a garbage can to throw something away. And I was hiding behind that garbage can and I kind of just like creeped up over the edge and he freaked out. And so later I went in for prejudging. Lo and behold, he was one of the judges. And I was like,
Oh
uh,
damn.
hi, I'm Kate. Uh, I'm a little sister. And he's like, I know. But so eventually, like I went up on stage, I did some performance cosplay, and I was a little sister, and he's even over here, but
Oh, you have the teddy bear.
I got my Mr. Bear.
Oh my God, it's so
Really
cute.
cool because he's got like a zipper in the back, so I could like stick all of my stuff inside of
Oh,
him.
he's a person. He's a two in
He's
one.
my purse. Yeah, literally.
He's a prop and a purse.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So I'd have my Mr. Bear, I had my atom gun. And so, yeah, I just on a whim, I never even thought that this is how this would all happen, but I started competing and New York Comic Con, the first year I ever competed, I got best performance, which was like, wow, okay, let's keep
Nice.
rolling with this. And after that, I've kind of always had a knack for performance and stage presence. And even just this last year in 2022, I took two best drama performance awards at SakuraCon and KomoriCon, and somebody unofficially crowned me as the queen of drama. So, so I'm like the Pacific Northwest queen of drama, but it's been just a roller coaster, and I really love being on stage. I love telling stories. I love picking a character and then figuring out how to tell their story on stage. It's just been an absolute roller coaster, and I
Nice.
wouldn't trade her for anything.
So, what has been your favorite and your most recent contest cosplays?
Oh, um, so My most recent one was actually just in November of 2022. I competed at KomoriCon, and I had finally been thrust into the Masters division of competitive
Nice.
cosplay because I had won enough awards based on
You've been
craftsmanship.
doing it long enough, you like might as well.
Well, the thing is about competing in cosplay is, you can start novice having never won an award before, but once you win once, you are in journeyman slash intermediate. You're in the middle pool, which most competitive cosplayers refer to as the bloodbath because everyone in journeyman is really good. They,
I've heard from Mama Samu many
yeah,
times that
they
she's
all,
from her competing and her judging.
yeah, they all want to win. They've all got the right stuff going, and it's just the amount of like what you have entered versus what everything else that has shown up and the magnitude of the event if it all lines up. So yeah, I competed in Journeyman for a really long time before I competed at Rose City in 2022 with my Fallout project, and I finally won best intermediate in my category. I was like, okay, this is it. This is that defining moment that I have been waiting for to say, hey, you can compete in masters now. Like this is what everyone else has been looking for from you to officially compete in masters. So I officially competed in masters at KomoriCon, and I knew craft wise based on what I was going up against that I was not going to win, but I knew that if I had the right skit I would be able to tell a good story. So I was doing a Final Fantasy Tactics project, which is
Oh,
another
your mime from Tactics.
my mime, yeah. Which yeah, it's like that's some really old stuff. Like Final Fantasy Tactics is from forever ago.
That's my least. That's probably my least favorite Final Fantasy game. No offense.
I mean, it's one of the only move-based strategies that punishes you for power leveling. So if you grind and get a whole bunch of characters super high level, you can't beat the game. So
I played the emulator version, and I'm not a fan of Tactics. I'm sorry.
yeah, I actually really hope that Square re-releases a new turn-based strategy or tactical game because I think they're overdue for it. They could do a lot. They could do a lot better than what they have put out before.
Oh yeah.
But in Final Fantasy Tactics, the mime is the highest class that you can obtain, and really their only ability is to mime, which is to mimic abilities or actions or movements based on the other people on their team. So that's really all that they can do, but they have super high magic power, super high physical power. They have kind of lower defense, but
For
really
anyone wondering, both the boy and girl version of the
I
mime.
also want to do the boy version for what it's worth, but yeah, I did the girl version.
Why does his head look like a? I
It's like a
can't tell that
backwards
chocobo.
bird, right?
It looks like the back of his head looks like the back of his head thing looks like a chocobo's head.
I know, right? But again, like the boys one is like even more highly detailed than the girls one. Like the boy is supposed to be based off of a bird. The girl is supposed to be based off of a fox or like a kitsune. So like a traditional like fox
Um,
spirit. But yeah, I that was actually a redo of a cosplay that I did like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I really didn't put as much into it as I really could have. So with better skills, more time, like more respect for the character, I redid it. And it was kind of like one of my back burner cosplays that I had to shelve because of the pandemic. So I brought it back out and I decided like we'll do it at Kumo. And I knew that craft wise it wasn't going to be able to compete with anything that was going to be on the stage. And so I decided, let's do a performance while we're at it too. And that's one of those really complex characters that you can take someplace and you can really tell a story because if you're somebody that's like, I'm going to be the strongest character I can be, but once you reach that level, you really can't do anything except what everybody else tells you to do. So that's the skit that I wrote, and I used a lot of really incredible audio actually from the Batman movie that came out recently, or
hey,
from the Joker, and from a video game called Binding of Isaac, and I was able to create a really dramatic and I think really beautiful skit, and I ended up winning best drama, and that was all that really meant anything to me. The fact that I continue to be recognized
oh,
for
I've
my
heard of this game
performance skills.
before.
Binding of Isaac,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
it is so good and has an amazing soundtrack. I highly recommend anybody plays it.
I've heard it's a pretty good PC game.
Oh, it's even better on PS4, and they have a couple really good expansions, so I
Ooh,
highly recommend anybody plays it.
I do have a PS4. I may have to.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like classic dungeon based unlocking items. It's kind of gross, but I have warmed up to it over time.
I've seen worse stuff over the years. I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
interesting.
there's like bosses with cleft palates and just people that fart and spew blood and poop, and there's definitely poop in that game. So
I've played Conker's Bad Fur Day. I've seen worse.
yeah, no, it's a great game, but the soundtrack, the further and further that you descent into it is just it's so good.
Nice.
So yeah, that was the last skit that I did. That was the last time that I competed, and I feel like anytime that I'm like, I have a really good skit idea, I'm gonna make this character work for me. I feel like that's really what makes me strong because I feel like I have a much stronger presence when I'm on stage and I can just further enhance a character. And I think that's really what I'm about at this point is
Nice.
I've got people coming to me asking, like, how can I do a better stage performance when I'm by myself? Or how can I be more dramatic on stage? Because I think what people don't really realize is they're like, I'm going to do a comedy skit. Doing comedy on stage is actually much more difficult than they could imagine. And I have somehow managed to make drama and telling stories really work for me. So I want to be a resource for people that are like, I can't do a skit. I'm just by myself. It's like, no, you absolutely can. You can tell a story by yourself on stage. And I want to be a resource and accessible for people that are like, I want to compete, I want to tell a story, but I'm by myself. It's like I'm here to help you. I will give you these resources.
Nice. So we in the cosplay recap, we talked about your convention horror story and your cosplay mishap. So the last thing I gotta ask is, oh yeah, your favorite competitive piece.
Oh God, there's been so many. And actually, let me look back at the wall because that's where all of my my
Hey,
trophies and my plaques
shit.
are. They're all back there.
Nice.
Um, oh, let's see. Best drama. So it's not an event that exists anymore. It was called Anime PDX, and now I think
I
it
have. Oh wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
I know, right? It used to fall under the banner of I think it was, let me see. It used to be called Fandom PDX
Yep.
or Anime PDX, and it
Oh
used to be
God.
like, yeah, like a 2 year event. Like it happened twice a year, and now it's owned by an organization based out of I think Florida, and they do the event Wasabi Con.
I've heard many things about WasabiCon.
Yeah, WasabiCon. Um, but Anime PDX was an opportunity for me to wear a Cardcaptor Sakura cosplay that I had tried to compete in before at KomoriCon. And I didn't win anything, but I got some really good feedback from the judges because they were all very well versed, very crafty, very talented cosplayers. And I got feedback from them as far as like what I could do to improve my cosplay. And my opinion is, if you compete with something and you don't win, in all honesty, I feel like there's something that you can do to improve and fine tune and grow that particular cosplay. So if you want to compete with it again, there's some things that you can change, some things you can upgrade. Maybe look at that, maybe look at better so that when you recompete with it again, you'll have a stronger chance to shine. So that was something that I did for that is that I had a Cardcaptor Sakura cosplay that hadn't quite reached, I think, the best potential that it could. So after competing at KomoriCon, I took it back. I remade some things. I took off some trims. I reapplied them more elegantly. I remade some props. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to recompete with this cosplay because I feel really good about it. And I think maybe I can sell it harder on stage than I did originally. So I took it to Anime PDX. I think it was the second time that they had done it. And so I recompeted with it. I had stronger stage presence. I think my whole prejudging process went a lot better. My build book was stronger. How I could talk about everything in the cosplay went a lot better. and I ended up winning Best in Show that year. So
Nice.
I think it really pays off to take feedback from judges if they're able and willing to provide it when you compete, if you have a pre-judging process, and put it back into something and recompete with it. Which, for what it's worth, that's something I'm actually getting ready to do right now. I had a cosplay back in 2019, which was my Geodude cosplay.
Your what?
The my Geodude cosplay.
Oh, your Geodude. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't receive any performance or craftsmanship awards for it, but what I did
Oh,
receive was an Audience Choice Award. Everybody in the audience voted for me, which means I left an impression on them. But there were things personally on the cosplay that I feel like I could have done better. So in that time, I have gone through and I have revamped, remade many of the items in that cosplay. And so I'm hoping that when I go to Fan Expo later this month, those will be the things that really shine through when I'm on stage, and hopefully the judges will see them this time around.
nice. Looking forward to seeing how that turns out, by the
Me
way.
too. Me too.
So God damn phone. So last but not least, you already answered that question. You answered that question. Lastly, advice in general for those who are listening to this and or watching this.
I want people to feel empowered, stronger, better as people when they are going through the cosplay process while they are making things from scratch or if they're buying things online. My advice is when you are cosplaying to make sure that you take the journey. Make sure that you understand the character that you are becoming. Make sure that you can take all of the strengths and all of the wisdom from the characters that you are becoming. If you are doubting yourself in terms of social aspects, in terms of being a leader, in terms of feeling more confident in the skills that you currently have, find characters that will help you feel those things more strongly, things that'll help you engage with other people, leadership skills that will help you feel more comfortable when you're trying to command the presence of others. I really just want people to take the journey when they cosplay as characters because I feel like there's a lot of pressure to cosplay what's popular, cosplay designs that really look cool, and people are kind of missing out on the opportunity to attach to characters and find inspiration from them individually. And that's something that's really important to me. Sometimes I find characters that I'm like, I want to tell their story on stage well before I ever want to actually make the physical cosplay. So I think that's really important cosplay. Take the journey, find characters that'll make you feel powerful. And throughout that entire process, whether you're making or buying your cosplay, own up for everything that you're doing with it. Give credit to yourself for time management, owning up to your own mistakes, knowing the strengths that you're absorbing by becoming a new character. Look for opportunities to connect with people. Remember that cosplay is a social and community engagement, and you are welcome. You are not alone. You always have a friend. You'll walk into a room and people will be able to see you from across 20 rows of chairs and know that you're their people. Just know that when you're cosplaying, you are never alone.
Mm-mm. I can't argue with that. So lastly, as I always say at the end of these now, would you like to promote yourself by dropping those links below so people can find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook. I'm under Red Leaf Cosplay. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Red Leaf Cosplay.
Links to those will be in the description below. I think that should do it again. Kate, thank you for coming on to Cosplay Contact to talk about your cosplay and convention experience. Looking forward to seeing the cons you go to. Looking forward to potentially meeting you seeing you at one of the future cons here this year. And also looking forward to seeing the cosplays you do.
Thank you so much, Wayne. Please come to SakuraCon. I'll make sure you have a great time.
I'll try. No promises guaranteed. And as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.